Donny Rogers.
Pleasant good evening to all, to the Honorable Political Leader, Ms. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, Members of Parliament, everyone here tonight. Good. Before I start, as we have the crowd this close up, I'd like to get a little engaging, right? All those who are fed up of high food prices, let me see by a show of hands. All those, everybody fed up of high food prices. Let me hear it again. All those who really can't understand why tomatoes have to be $20 a pound. All right? Good. So let me give you one little dimension. And people don't realize this. We don't think about it. It's not at the top of our minds, but it's reality. From the last 8 years to today, rice production in this country dropped by 93% over the last 8 years. Vegetable production dropped by 35%. Legumes, peas, dropped by 55%. Root crops, 27%. And we only produce 8% of the milk that we use in this country. We import over $180 million in milk annually. We have moved from 150 dairy farmers to just about 75. And that is the backdrop that I'm going to use. In 2015, we had 93 reports of praedial larceny in this country. In 2016, the mechanism was still working, so we had 73. From 2017 to 2022, that figure went up between 50 and almost 100%. Because the figures stood at 132, 136, up to 177, which is almost double. One of the largest issues facing food production is the issue of praedial larceny. And this has turned into a multi-million-dollar business for the criminal enterprises. Last year, 125 dairy cows were stolen in this country from farms throughout. When they are stolen, there's only one thing that's going to happen for it. They're going to slaughter. So you lose that production. You lose everything about that. The value of that is over $2 million. So you see where the criminals making money, right? Criminals, bandits could come into your farm, steal animals, put them in vans, drive down the road, and they will not get caught. Because out of these 125 dairy cows that were stolen last year, not one was recovered. No one was arrested for it. So in broad daylight, they go in, and they're not being held. Why? Because of the praedial larceny unit. The praedial larceny unit has been left without the proper, how should I put it? Without the proper leadership, without the systems, without the resources to carry out their work, without the proper legislation. If I may, our very own Chairman Rampersad, I remember in discussion, he lost over $200,000 in watermelon at 1 year. And here those guys went with it. 60,000 pounds of watermelon were transported in a car whole night, up and down. Nobody stopping, nobody checking, nobody doing anything. Just last week, one of the largest rice producers in this country lost a pump valued at about $75,000. That pump is so big that they go in the back of a van and transport it out of there, passing right next to the police station in the area. And nothing. Against this backdrop, I am saying that the crime situation is not just against farmers, it is against food production. It is against your ability to get food and your ability to afford food. Demand and supply. When the commodities go less, the prices go up. But you know what's the funny thing about it? Farmers not really all that worried about praedial larceny anymore, you know. Farmers worried about crimes against their person. In Jerningham Junction farmlands, one of the highest producing farming areas, a farmer was held up, produce stolen, money stolen, equipment stolen, vehicles stolen, and they were beaten. So that farmer was not a farmer anymore. He didn't have anything in order to go and become productive afterwards. Because of the nature of this one, I wouldn't go into the details. An elderly farmer was hog-tied in front of his family, tortured. I would not go into the details of the torture. And that crime was not solved. I am not just here speaking to you as a professional. I am here speaking to you as a farmer, as a business owner, and even I myself, I was shot on my back on a farm. So the crime situation is, to farmers, it has taken a toll on their capacity to produce, where you see many farmers opting to just stop, leave it, forget about it. Farmers are getting out of food production, and it's very easy to see that. If you look at the newspapers, you read the classifieds, all you're seeing is county to limited acres, 2-acre lands being sold. And it being sold for dirt cheap prices. You are seeing farms being sold, you are seeing large acreages of farmlands being sold. And this will never work towards bringing food production to where it's supposed to be. The farmers of Trinidad and Tobago have not had any support over the last 8 years with regards to praedial larceny, and more so crimes against their person. 3 to 4 years ago, the food import bill, 6 to 7, sorry, not 3 to 4. The food import bill was $5.2 billion. Last year, it was 7.3, the highest we have ever had in this country. And it's not going to get better. My prediction is that if nothing is done about the crime situation and how it affects farmers and the farmers' ability to produce food, we're going to end up in a situation where it would not make sense to try to grow food locally. Because that food import bill could hit close to $10 billion. And at that stage, it makes no sense trying to bring back our local food production. The time to create that change is now. Currently, we have a situation where the Carson Field office for the praedial larceny unit has closed. So that means from Curab to San Fernando, there are no praedial larceny officers in the highest food producing regions of the country. The farmers have no support, nobody to call when something happens. And how could a decision like this be made? Farmers of Trinidad and Tobago are competent and willing to ensure that everybody have access to food at a good price and good quality food. However, when they are faced with situations where all their crops being stolen, their equipment being stolen, they're shot, they're beaten, they are terrorized, how are they to produce? They are not going to. And that is why you will see locally grown produce at $20, $30, $40 a pound. We need proper decisions to be made. We need security. We need leadership, none of which we have had for the last 8 years. Whilst we allow crimes against farmers to flourish, the pockets of the importers are also flourishing. And that means that is you guys going to pay the price for it. Nobody else but the consumer. The time is now for change. And I ask you to think, how can we go forward without change? There is no way that we could go forward in the agricultural sector without positive change. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rogers. As we work together to come up with solutions with respect to the problems facing our country, we have to watch that we are victims, not just somebody lick you down, hurt you, we have further victims and all our families, which also helps to build up more crime when we can't feed ourselves and our families. So I think your contribution today is well appreciated. Let us thank Mr. Rogers.